Welcome back everybody to a brand new episode of Mastering Master Mode. In this episode, we start off by creating quite a mess. I found a pressure plate on the ground and had no idea what it did, so instead of picking it up and trying to figure it out, I stepped on it. Turns out, the pressure plate releases a bunch of lava, and I ended up flooding the entire mushroom biome with it. I tried to stop the lava from flowing, but once it starts, there's no stopping it. As I was mining my way around the lava, I ended up getting the achievement Bulldozer for destroying 10,000 tiles. And not long after that, I get the achievement It's Getting Hot in Here for reaching the underworld. With those achievements out of the way, I head back to the jungle because I remembered I still need to take on the Queen Bee. Building an arena for Queen Bee is especially tricky because it has to be built underground. That means you need to find a relatively open area that you can expand even larger, that you have enough room to dodge all of her attacks, especially the dash attacks. For me, this involved crafting a whole bunch of sticky bombs and going to town on the area that I want to build my arena. I also decided to create basically a cage around my arena so that other mobs couldn't get in and distract me during the fight. But of course, nothing's easy in the jungle, and while I was fighting a spiked jungle slime, it had me trapped underwater and I ended up drowning. After that death, I remember that there's an achievement for saving yourself from drowning by drinking a water bottle, so that's what I do. And I get the achievement Unusual Survival Strategies. I then head back to the jungle to continue working in my arena by putting a couple layers of platforms so that I have better maneuverability during the boss fight. I then put some finishing touches, including a couple fireplaces, some bass statues, and some heart lanterns for increased regeneration and more defense. With the arena set up and ready to go, I summon the Queen Bee. I end up having some trouble getting into my arena due to the cage that I built around it, and I take a fair bit of damage getting in. But once I'm in the arena, I take all my potions that I've prepared for the fight and start attacking Queen Bee. The Queen Bee boss fight is not a particularly hard one, as long as you can manage the minions that she spits out and have enough mobility to dodge her dash attacks. I start off with the Thunder Zapper due to its fast projectile and decent damage, making it much easier to hit her since she moves around quite a bit during the fight. My Diamond Staff does more damage, but the projectile is much slower, so it's harder to hit the fast-moving Queen Bee. I have the same issue with the Demon Scythe, as its long charge-up time causes me to miss more often than not, though I do find success with the Demon Scythe when she's dashing back and forth, as I can just send the projectile in a straight line for her to run into. The fight does end up taking a decent amount of time to complete, and that's because I'm still not the strongest, since I don't have access to some of the better accessories and magic weapons yet. If you get out of sync with dodging her dash attacks, Queen Bee can be pretty dangerous. She can stack up a whole bunch of damage very quickly if you're not careful. You can see I get brought all the way down below 100 health for exactly this reason. But luckily I don't choke and I take out Queen Bee on the first attempt. With Queen Bee defeated, I earned the achievement Sting Operation. The next boss that I'm looking to take on is Skeletron, so that I can enter the dungeon and get a bunch of good magic weapons. I quickly set up an arena outside the dungeon, sleep until the next night, talk to the old man, and summon Skeletron. The Skeletron fight is a bit tricky in Master Mode, due to the fact that you have to take out his hands before you can do any serious damage to his head. This isn't the case in normal mode, and it makes the fight much harder. I start off the fight using a mixture of the bee gun and the thunder zapper because the bee gun has homing bees that will deal constant damage, while the thunder zapper can deal the real damage, as long as I can hit him. At the beginning of the fight, the best thing that you can do is circle around Skeletron to avoid both his hands and his head. At this point in the game, there's no way to not take any knockback, so if you get hit by his head while it's spinning, it's game over, since you'll be trapped in an endless loop of getting knocked back into the skull and taking more damage and knocked back into the skull again over and over and over until you die. Ideally, we want to take out both of the hands at around the same time. Once one hand gets taken out, he starts firing homing skulls that deal a lot of damage and are kind of hard to dodge. So taking both hands out at the same time allows us to actually deal damage to his head rather than have to worry about taking out the other hand while dodging the homing skulls. I managed to do a pretty decent job of taking the hands down at similar times, and you can see that I'm doing a ton more damage to his head now. When I was doing 1 or 2 before, I'm now doing upwards of 70 or 80 damage now. However, like I said, he fires homing skulls and they hurt. A few skulls hitting you and it can mean the end of your battle in an instant. I'm relying on the bee gun a lot here, as the homing bees that I shoot deal a decent amount of damage constantly to Skeletron, meaning I can focus on dodging the skulls and still get damage in without having to worry about aiming so much. The Demon Scythe is also a good choice, as when Skeletron is spinning, he moves in a straight line at you, so he'll run right into the Demon Scythe that you shoot. The best strategy for the second half of this fight is still circling around Skeletron, but making sure that you're doing it a bit faster so that you can avoid the skulls. This fight also has a time limit of a single night. So if it hits 4:30 a.m. before I take out Skeletron, he will instantly one-shot me. Luckily, however, I'm able to take him out fast enough and earn the achievement Boned for taking out Skeletron. And with that, we come to the end of the episode. If you're enjoying this series, please be sure to drop a like or a comment down below, and make sure you're subscribed, as it really helps our channel out. Make sure to tune in to next week's Mastering Master Mode for us to clear out the dungeon and maybe even finally get into hard mode. Thanks for watching, everybody.